We're talking to Congressman Don Young of Alaska, who's chairman of the subcommittee on Indian Affairs and as well on many of our natural resources. Tell me, you have been leading the effort in order to direct our attention on reform of our energy and setting up a plan for us that would maybe solve many of the problems that we do have. But the overall question today is, where is Congress going on solving the big deficit problem that we have?
Well, may I say one thing, Congressman? There will be no magic wand in this. We took a while to get where we are. And we are badly in debt right now. And I think the main thing is, and every American has the same responsibility, we have become a nation of consumption. We are consuming things that are produced from abroad, our oil, our fiber, 49% of our food, which scares me. Our manufactured products, everybody watching your show, I ask you just check all the labels on the clothes you wear and your shoes that you're wearing. And if you find anything made in the United States, I will buy you dinner. And now they all go out and buy something made in the United States. But I'm just saying it's very, very discouraging when you look at what we have done to this nation. And the big thing, we did it because we had actually a boom, and we had surplus money, and we were buying, and everybody had this, it will never break, the bubble will always be there. Well, the bubble broke. And it's going to be hard to replace it. And this country was built primarily on our great natural resources and the sweat of the brow to take the natural resources. And that's why I say sweat of the brow to take and manufacture and develop from those resources. And we have stopped doing that. And so we've lost a lot of our, I call it the blue-collar middle class. We have the more poor down here, and we have a very rich select group up here because they made their money. What did Bill Gates ever do? Bless his heart. He was a genius making a gadget. If you follow what I'm saying, it's a computer, yes, that sort of thing. But it didn't produce anything. Everybody says, well, that's technology. And I will agree in technology. But the basis of any economy is what man produces that he can sleep under, wear, or move with. And otherwise, I'm saying that's the basis. Then the rest of it can be built from it. And my problem with some of my liberal friends is they say, well, these are social programs, and I agree with them, and I support the social programs. But you also got to support me and the development of resources so you can have those social programs. You've got to build your cars. You've got to build your Caterpillars. You've got to build your buildings. You've got to do things build your bridges, by the way. That's another subject I'll get into. We're not doing that. We're buying and using what was developed in the past. And that's not good for any country. It's not new, but it's not good. And I'm just saying we ought to be looking at it as a Congress, because my side of the aisle now, they want to cut their way into prosperity. You cannot cut your way into prosperity. It can't work. And just try it sometime. You can cut and not have unnecessary spending, but you also have to put the real dollar in the tube, as I call it, so there is a balance of what is being spent and what's being produced.
Does that mean that you favor the idea of giving incentives to industry in order to produce and work out something whereby the government does act as an incentive?
No, I do just the opposite. You don't need the incentive if you stop the government from interfering. And I say this because there's 1,600,000 laws today that Congress never voted on. They were passed by regulatory law. And just try doing something today. Try building a new building. Start building a new plant. Try laying a mile of highway. In 1970, there was 2 permits to build a highway. There's 35 agencies you have to go through before you can build a highway. And consequently, we spend all our money doing nothing other than denying or granting permits, and it takes a tremendous long time. When you start to build a highway right now, it takes 12 years before you lay any concrete at all. And that's not necessary. It doesn't accomplish anything. Like we have the oil drill rigs, I'm telling you, it takes 5 years to get a permit. We don't need to do that. You don't need the incentive You just take and eliminate the roadblocks that are in the way to produce.
Don't we have to have some policing authority?
Oh, yes, you can have the policing authority, but make it work. I challenge people. There's never been any federal agency I've ever heard and worked with that said, here, I'll help you do it. They'll give you 10 reasons why you can't do it. And this is the truth. And I mean, you ask, and I've gone, a lot of these people are leaving our shores and going overseas. It's not because of cheap labor. That's a scapegoat, by the way. The labor is only 10% of our workforce in the United States, so don't blame them for moving over there. It's the uncertainty of investment and whether they can get a return on the money, and if they can go to another country and cut a better deal and make that product and ship it back to us and we're dumb enough to buy it, then that's what they do. Make it more attractive to stay on our shores so we start manufacturing within our shores and creating real jobs and recreating the middle class.
What do you look for the future here for this country now?
Well, you know, this is a strange thing. I sound like a pessimist. I mean, I'm always an optimist. We have basically the greatest landmass that, you know, any nation's ever had. It's a great landmass. And I believe that's going to be our saving grace eventually. And we have basically good people. This is a great nation. I'm concerned about some of the polarization, but it's a great nation. If the people are challenged, I believe the opportunity is there. If they're not too used to having the government take care of them all the time. I think one of the more dangers that we have in this country is the people that don't participate in our government. You know, 50%, 49 and 50% don't pay income tax. Now, I argue that's incorrect. We have, like I say, remember here, and we have this side down here, and then you've got a little small middle class taking care of both sides. It won't work. I'm arguing, and this is where I get out of line sometimes, I'm arguing we have to change the tax structure in this country. And everybody pays a flat rate. It's not a new idea, but everybody pays, including those that receive government aid. So then once they say, or they get a $2,000 check from the government in some form of assistance, then they have to take at least $200 out of that and give it back to the government. So they start understanding they're part of the government. Because if you get too far beyond that 49%, 50%, you will not have a democracy in this country. It will become a socialist state. And that's what I don't support, will not support, because I still think the ability to have entrepreneurship is a driving force what made this country great. Just on the closing back, I met with Chicky Rodriguez the other day, and he's a famous golfer, as you know. You ought to listen to him talk about why he thinks the country has got soft, you know, why we haven't been able to produce as we've done before. He came right out of the slums and done a great job, a great spokesman. And he really believes that we're losing that ability to have a capitalistic entrepreneurship democracy, and because people aren't participating as they should. Will they in the future? I think they will if they're given a chance to do so.
Don, I want to thank you so much.
My pleasure. Always good to see you, and I'm very proud of you right now.
Well,
I mean,
you.
you're still moving along, doing things, and shaking the trees.
You know, I say I'm too busy to die.
Well, you know, may I ask personally, how old are you now?
I'm 92.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. You think about that, and you're doing the same thing I'm doing. There's always every day is a good day.
That's right.
And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, shame on you.
It's a good day, and it's a good country.
That's absolutely great country.
Thank you once
sir.
again.
I
Right.
bet you. I appreciate it.
Now until next week, at the same time, this is Lester Wolf saying so long from Washington.